Welcome to Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Hotel Management, Pune. This presentation is done by Professor Ajim Sheikh for the course, Second Year BSc Hospitality Studies. Flour is the basic ingredient in cake making. Let us see the functions of flour in cake making. Flour creates the structure of the cake. Gluten in flour stretches and creates airy and fluffy texture of the cake. Flour helps in binding the ingredients of the cake. Flour helps in the absorption of moisture, thus it is also an anti-staling agent. Next important ingredient in cake making is fat or shortening. Mostly butter is used as shortening in cakes. Function of fat in cake making are as follows. It improves flavor and color of the cake. This extends shelf life of the cake. Fat traps air when creamed with sugar, which acts as a raising agent. Fat give richness to cake. High-fat cakes are more mouth-melting than low-fat cakes. Sugar is one of the most important ingredient in cake making. Sugar adds sweetness to the cake. It also adds color, as the sugar caramelizes on heating. Sugar gives nice outer crust to cake. It helps to trap air with fat during heating. Sugar also softens the internal crumb of the cake. It helps in mechanical aeration while creaming the fat and sugar. Sugar holds the moisture and water particles together. Therefore, this saves the cake from becoming stale and dry too soon, thereby increasing the shelf life. Functions of eggs in cake making. Eggs, when beaten, traps air and helps the cake mixture to rise when raw and while baking. It emulsifies the fat in creamed mixtures. Lecithin found in egg yolk acts as the emulsifier. Eggs helps to set the cake in the raisin position by the coagulation of egg protein. They provide moisture, which converts to steam on heating, helps rising of cake. Eggs imparts richness to the cake. Functions of liquid in cake making. Various liquids are used in cake making, like milk, buttermilk, orange juice, and water, etc. Liquid provides moisture for the gelatinization of starch. Liquid helps in the development of gluten. Liquid forms steam, which help the mixture to rise. It also helps in blending ingredients together. Milk gives richness to cake. Orange juice increases flavor, and buttermilk helps in rising the cake. Functions of leavening agents in cake making. Mostly, baking powder and baking soda are used as leavening or raising agents in the cake. Raising agents helps in raising cake. However, excess use of raising agents may result in faulty texture of the cake. Baking powder is used for raising cakes. It contains sodium hydrogen carbonate, which breaks down when heated and forms carbon dioxide gas. The carbon dioxide helps cake mixture to rise so that the cakes are light and fluffy. Functions of flavorings in cake making. Various flavorings are used in cake making. Those are vanilla, almond essence, nutmeg, cinnamon, raisins, and orange zest, etc. Main function of flavoring agents is to improve the taste and flavor of the product. Vanilla flavor is also useful to suppress the flavor of eggs in cakes. Now, we will learn methods of cake making. Let us see creaming method of cake making. Creaming method is the high-fat method of cake making. In this method, air is trapped by creaming the sugar and fat together. This gives a lighter texture to the mixture. Process of creaming method is as follows. Cream fat and sugar together. Then beat eggs till stiff, for mechanical aeration. Now, add eggs, to the creamed mixture of sugar and fat. Next process is, sieve all the dry ingredients like, flour, baking powder, cocoa powder, etc. Now, add all the dry ingredients, to the creamed mixture. Add flavor, and color. If required, add liquid, to adjust consistency, if necessary. Next high-fat method, of cake making is, flour batter method. This method is used, mainly in high-ratio cakes, that is, cakes, that have a higher ratio of sugar and liquid, as compared to flour. The flour batter method requires, 2 machines. In machine 1, cream fat, and flour of equal quantity until light, and fluffy. In machine 2, sugar, and eggs of equal quantity, are beaten together, until stiff. Now, add both mixtures together. Sieve remaining flour, baking powder, and any other dry ingredients, and flavorings, then fold in. Now, we will see low-fat methods, of cake making. First one is sponge method, which is also known as, foaming method. Process of the foaming method, of cake making is as follows. Heat butter, and liquid, until melted. First, beat eggs, and sugar, over a hot water bath, until thick and foamy. Now, remove from the heat. Next process is, fold the above mixture, with the sifted flour, and other dry ingredients. Now, gently fold in, the melted butter. Take care, not to overmix the mixture. Pour into, a prepared pan, and bake immediately. Delays, will cause, loss in volume. Now, we will see next low-fat methods, of cake making. That is angel food method. Process of the angel food method, of cake making is, as follows. First, sift flour, and half of the sugar. Next, beat egg whites, salt, and cream of tartar, until they form soft peaks. Beat the half sugar, with above mixture, until they form soft glossy peaks. Fold in the above mixture, with dry flour sugar mix. Pour into prepared pan, and bake immediately. Third, low-fat methods, of cake making is, chiffon method. The process, of making chiffon cake is, as follows. Sift all the dry ingredients, including part of the sugar. To above dry mixture, add the oil, then the yolks and water, liquid, and flavorings, all in a slow steady stream. Mix the mixture, until smooth. Next process is, whip egg whites, until they form soft peaks. Add cream of tartar, and sugar, now beat, until thick, and glossy. Fold whites mixture, into the flour liquid mix. Pour immediately, into baking pans and bake. Let us see, all-in-one method, of cake making. This is, one of the simplest methods, of cake making. As name suggest, all dry, and wet ingredients used together, all at one time, to make cake mixture. Process is as follows. All the ingredients are put together, in a mixer. Then, it is whisked on low speed, for about a minute, to combine the dry ingredients, with the liquid. Now, whisk on high speed, for 2 minutes, for aeration. Again whisk on low speed, for 1 minute, for uniform aeration. Pour in tin, and bake. This slide onwards we shall see 3 processes after cake batter is prepared. Those are scaling, panning, baking, and cooling. We shall see, what is scaling. Scaling is, dividing batter, or dough by weight, for the most accurate portioning, into pans, or pieces. Process is, as follows. Set the scale to 0. Add batter to the pan, until, the scale reaches to desired mark. Now, remove the pan from the scale, and spread the batter smooth, with a spatula. Give the pan several sharp raps on the bench to free large trapped air bubbles. Bake immediately. Now, we are going to learn what is panning. Panning is greasing of cake pan with some fat or with some parchment, which makes it easy to remove cakes from cake pans. For high-fat cakes, layer pans must be greased, preferably with a commercial pan greasing preparation. For sheet cakes, line the pans with greased parchment. For thin layers, such as Swiss rolls, it is necessary to use level pans without dents. For angel food cakes and chiffon cakes, bake in tube pans, do not grease the pan. The batter must be able to cling to the sides. For sponge cake, layer with little or no fat, grease the bottoms, but not the sides of the pans. We will see correct process of baking. Preheat the ovens. To conserve expensive energy, don't preheat longer than necessary. Make sure ovens and shelves are leveled. Do not let pans touch each other. If pans touch, air circulation is inhibited, and the cakes rise unevenly. Bake at correct temperature. Do not open the oven or disturb cakes until they have finished rising and are partially browned. Disturbing the cakes before they are set may cause them to fall. After baking, most important step is cooling and demolding of cakes. Process is as follows. Cool layer cakes and sheet cakes 15 minutes in pans and turn out while slightly warm. Because they are fragile, they may break if turned out when hot. Turn out layer cakes onto racks to finish cooling. Cool angel food cakes and chiffon cakes upside down in pans so they do not fall back into the pans and lose volume. Support the edges of the pan so the top of the cake is off the bench. When cool, loosen the cake from sides of the pan with a knife or spatula and carefully pull out the cake. Here onwards, we shall see the cake faults and reasons behind them. First fault is, cake has risen to a peak and is cracked. This is because the oven temperature is too high, causing the mixture to rise repeatedly to a peak, then overcook. Or there is too more mixture than the size of the tin. Sometimes, if strong flour is used, cakes rises and cracks at center. Excess use of baking powder also causes same fault. Next cake fault is, cake has sunk in the middle. Reasons behind this fault are as follows. Undercooking of the cake by the wrong temperature or wrong cooking time. Sometimes, too much sugar or syrup makes the gluten to over-soften and collapse. Too much of raising agent causes the gluten to overstretch and then collapse. Opening the oven door before the gluten has set, so that the heavy cold air makes it sink. Another cake fault is, cake has risen unevenly. Reasons behind this fault are as follows. The oven shelf is not in level. The cake mixture was placed too close to the source of heat, which has caused the cake to rise too quickly on one side. Dry cake is also a fault, which is caused because cake baked too long, more than the required duration. Or else, too less liquid is used in the mixture. Using excess chemical agent also makes cake dry after baking. Tunnel fault is also a most common faults in the cakes. Reasons behind tunnel faults are improper mixing of the dry ingredients. Also, this is because baking powder is not mixed evenly in the cake mixture. Last fault is that the cake is low volume and rigid. Reasons behind this are too much proportion of fat is added. Sufficient aeration is not occurred. Mixture is too dry, there is lack of sufficient moisture in it. Baking powder not mixed evenly.